Welcome to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. For the next hour, you'll hear proven methods for how to live the multiple income streams dream. Ryan is passionate about helping others discover their gifts and start their own business. He's published 5 books, and his courses and group coaching programs have changed the lives of thousands of students all over the world. Ryan's books include Private Label, The Easy Way, Finding Your Grace Place, and his latest, Streams of Income. And now, here's your host, Ryan Rieger.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Streams of Income radio show. I'm your host, Ryan Rieger. Today we're chatting with Kyle Kudareski of Webstreet.co. They were formerly Empire Flippers Capital. You might be familiar with Empire Flippers, a site that is a business marketplace to buy and sell online businesses like Amazon businesses, KDP businesses, content-based businesses, even software and applications. But Kyle is on the side of the capital where you can actually invest very small amounts of money. They're about to launch within the next 1 to 2 weeks at the time of this recording, which today is March the 3rd, 2023, about to launch a site where you can, even as little as $1,000, you can passively invest in businesses like Amazon businesses and content, KDP applications, and get a 15 to 20% annual return on your money without doing anything. So if you're in the position of just looking for straight up passive income, this is a really good option. So today, we chatted with Kyle about buying a business versus investing, the performance of the funds so far. They've been around for a couple of years and done very, very well. The types of businesses that they are investing in, and the difference between the Empire Flippers and what Webstreet is now. So this is just a fun conversation. We went a little deep at a couple of moments here. Steven was on with me. He asked some deeper questions, as did I. But really good. If you're looking for passive income, check out Webstreet.co. It's a very, very good option. Literally put your money in, not have to think about it. They'll send you reports and you'll get a really, really decent return on your money. Here's our interview with Kyle. Kyle, welcome to Streams of Income, man. Good to have you.
Hey, Ryan. Hey, Steven. Good to be here. Thanks.
So cool. So you are with Empire Flippers Capital, now Webstreet. So we'll get into that. But tell me, I love hearing people's stories. And I know you're here to represent your company. And I love that you're not so corporate. You're working from home too. It's just so cool to get to do that as well. But tell me about you, a little background about you, and then we'll jump into what Empire Flippers, now Webstreet, does.
Perfect. Yeah. A little background. My name's Kyle Kudareski. I'm, like you said, with Webstreet. I grew up here in the United States, Tennessee, went to engineering school and graduated and got into a kind of a corporate engineering role, project management, operations, that type of thing for about the last decade. Really great place to start, but I knew I didn't want to stay in corporate America forever. Got into kind of saved up some money, started looking at investing, did some real estate investing here. I live in kind of a touristy area off the coast of Florida. And, that's how I learned about Empire Flippers. I was looking at investing in or purchasing an online business. Yeah. Learned a lot about them, really liked their culture and everything they offered, and then kind of decided, well, you know what, that might be a cool place to work. So,
that's awesome. Did you end up buying the business that you were looking at?
I didn't, which actually ties perfectly into Webstreet, and we can get into all of that. Sure. I didn't really have the skills to run the online businesses. I started working on them, and then I was like an operational role came up in Empire Flippers Capital, and worked really hard, went through the interview process, and was able to join the team. So
wow, that's so cool. How did you go from being hey, I'm looking at buying one of the businesses on your site to finding out that they had a job opening and applying there?
Yeah, so Empire Flippers has a really cool Empire Flippers Capital, really cool culture, distributed team of about 80 to 100 individuals all over the world. And, I started listening to their podcast, trying to learn how to run an online business or what type I would be interested in. And I just really got dug into their culture, got to know their podcast and read their blog and was on their email newsletter. Yeah. And so then I found out about some job openings.
So cool, because you were interested in passive income, which we all like.
Exactly. And the timing was perfect because Empire Flippers, as most of your listeners probably know, is a brokerage for buying and selling online businesses. But Empire Flippers Capital was just starting up at the time that I was looking. And we provide a way for people to invest in online businesses without actually running them.
That's awesome. Steve and I are talking about that a lot because I think Darren Hardy, who used to do the Success magazine, says, be the chairman, not the CEO. And I have another friend that said, be the chairman of everything, the CEO of nothing. I mean, they probably talked to each other and got the same quotes. I don't know, but that's true, though, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with running a business, but you're running a business. You are in charge. You've got things to do, but investing in a business is a whole lot different.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And that's our whole mission, is to make, it's still early in the game. A lot of people probably, like you said, listening, know about online businesses, Amazon and content businesses and drop shipping and e-commerce and all that, but still really early in the game. And a lot of people don't have access or even the want to run those online businesses. But just like real estate or any other asset class, there's tons of upside. And so that's our whole mission, is to make that accessible to anybody that wants to invest.
For sure. Steven, remember when I sent you that video from, it was somebody talking about Warren Buffett, how much Coca-Cola stock he owns, and he makes more in dividends from Coca-Cola than the CEO of Coca-Cola makes in that guy's salary. And the guy that runs Coca-Cola has to do all the hard work of running Coca-Cola. And Warren Buffett's just over here. He loves Dairy Queen. He's eating ice cream and making, I don't remember, hundreds of millions of dollars, I think, in dividends a year from Coca-Cola. Just crazy.
It is a mind shift. And that's why I'm more excited about doing this, because as a serial entrepreneur and always going after shiny objects, I look back and saw how much money that I was rolling into selling Amazon. I was like, if I would have bought stock, I'd be way more wealthy than doing all the work if I was just consistently buying the stocks instead of rebuying inventory. It was a weird mind shift that I've had just recently, and going like, oh, it's much better to be the shareholder, to be on the board, not on the board, but just having the shares instead of actually working in the business, as crazy as that sounds at time. But even if you can start the business, build the business, and then sell the business, that also seems to be extremely lucrative.
That's true.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And that is a mindset shift, right? Like kind of hits you.
Do you have people that do both, that are owning businesses? They bought a business off of Empire Flippers, and now they're coming to Webstreet and saying, hey, I just want to invest also.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, I don't know the percentage off the top of my head, but a large percentage of our investors, or a decent percentage, have either bought or sold websites, and that's how they know about it, right? They know the upside that they bring. Some of them are very familiar with. Some of them still run online businesses, right? So they're running Amazon businesses, but they want exposure to maybe Kindle or a content site. And so they invest through us and then continue to run their businesses. So. That's
awesome. Can you give us an idea of some of the types of businesses that are on, I guess that maybe that are on Empire Flippers, but then also is it the same type of businesses that are on Empire Flippers? Is that the type of businesses that you're investing in with Webstreet?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, if you'll allow me, I can kind of clarify for the audience. So Empire Flippers, is a really large marketplace for buying and selling online businesses. Ryan builds an online business, an Amazon site or a content site or a Kindle site or an app, and wants to sell it, maybe so he can move on to another site, or he just wants to cash out, do something different. Come to Empire Flippers, we vet it, we list it, we find a buyer. Maybe Steven wants to buy it, right? And that's been Empire Flippers for over a decade. The largest site that we sold was over $10 million, all the way down to 30,000, 50,000. So a huge range of businesses, right?
Yeah.
So now you can invest in those businesses through EF Capital, which is now Webstreet. And over the last 2 years, we've allowed investors to invest across 14 different funds, which has been over 30 businesses. And all of those businesses came from the Empire Flippers marketplace. It was really, for years, we heard from our audience that, I want exposure, but I don't know how to run these, or I don't want to run these. Can I just give you money and you run it for us? And it was like, well, no, we don't really do that. But we heard it enough that now we still don't do that per se, but we've given
Yes.
that you actually invest in the portfolio managers. So people that have bought and sold, you don't know exactly which site you're investing in. You know the type of site, you know their strategy, and you invest, pool with other investors, and then they go to the marketplace, and according to their acquisition strategy, they buy a business or multiple businesses and then run them for you.
Wow.
And all of those to date have been done through Empire Flippers Marketplace because we trusted the marketplace. But part of the rebrand, Webstreet is now allowing those portfolio managers to go purchase from anywhere. Other trusted online brokerages, private deals, and that type of thing. And just because the amount of deal flow and the amount of interest we have in investors, the EF marketplace alone isn't large enough, right? So yes, it's exactly those type of businesses. Most of them have been purchased through Empire Flippers, but now we're starting to do other brokerages and other marketplaces as well.
That is awesome. Stephen, you were about to ask a question.
Yeah, I'm maybe more personally interested in, but
you know what? I'll tell you, that's the advantage of having a podcast is that you can ask the questions that you personally want to know, because there's somebody out in the audience that's thinking the same thing. But even if they're not, man, it's like, hey, this is our guest. We can ask him what we want. Now we got to keep the audience in mind, but go for it.
Well, I think this does tie back because as a serial entrepreneur, I've built a bunch of businesses, and some of the business brokers we've talked to said, oh, you left a bunch of money on the table because you could have sold those, whereas I would just gasoline and burn and bounce up to the next. But how do you become a portfolio manager? And is it one person or is it a team of people? Is it all in-house or are you looking outside to find those people?
Yeah, great question. And hopefully some people in your audience find that interesting as well, because we're always looking for more portfolio managers. So we have a whole team. I'm over operations, but we have an investments team that is always looking for new portfolio managers. So we have a whole process. There's a very simple top filter, top of funnel application, which we can link. And you basically apply, and then we have a whole process where we vet the portfolio managers. So that might be a person like if I have a bunch of Amazon experience, I might run a
Amazon
group of 10 Amazon stores.
Exactly. And it's a really thorough vetting process. So at the top, it's easy to enter at the beginning, but then as you go through the stages, maybe you've bought and sold. It's like I said, it's pretty competitive. So
sure,
we're going to raise most of these funds are $1 million to $3 million, something like that. So we're going to raise that money for the portfolio manager. He's going to invest some of his own money. So they invest 5% of the total fund amount. So they've got skin in the game, right? Yeah. And they go through the vetting process. We actually have them go to the marketplace, do what we call due diligence, not on a business they're actually going to buy, but to show that they know how to do the due diligence. We look at their track record. We share their track record with investors, and then they put in 5% of the money. We raise the money. Once the raise is complete, which is usually 60 to 90 days, they get to take that money and go purchase businesses. We have ultimate. Yeah, it's really
so
nice.
They're using other people's money. I mean, a little bit of their own, but they're getting to play in the marketplace and buy businesses. If it's Amazon, they're buying Amazon businesses. That's so cool.
Exactly. And the last point for you there, because you hit on it, was most of these people do have teams in place.
That's what I was going to ask a little bit on the follow-up.
Content teams, or some of one of our operators or portfolio managers. We kind of use those interchangeably. He has his own warehouse. He's done multiple Amazon businesses before. And of course, all those teams, we have third-party accounting and bookkeeping. All their team members are paid at cost. And then, each quarter, the profits are distributed to investors and to the operator. So there's cash distributions each quarter. Investors get 2/3. We, Webstreet, take 10%, and the operators get the other. So there's a 1/3, 2/3 split.
Nice.
So on the operator's 5% that he puts in, he gets no salary, nothing like that, but he gets 20% of the profits. So there's a lot of skin in the game for the operators on a $2 million fund. There's $100,000 they're putting in.
Is there a scaling pay too for performance?
There's not scaling, but what there is so each quarter, like I said, there's distributions based on profits. And then in the 2 to 4 year range, when they decide that they want to sell the business, they also get the profit, and so do investors at the same split on the sale of the businesses. And now we have do have 3 or 4 portfolio managers who have repeated. So they've done one fund with us, built several businesses, and then come back. And what we do for them is they actually drop 1%. So they get to put in 4% when they repeat. So we want portfolio managers that are going to keep coming back and keep growing with us. And so far we're seeing that, which is great.
That's awesome. If there was a team and there was a pseudo fund that was started, but it wasn't put together through all the legal means, could you guys help raise additional funds and really help with the legal side of? Because I have started a fund, but it's very learning as I go, and I'm realizing there's a bunch of legalese stuff to this where you can raise some, you can't raise. If you fall under this, you could be considered this. It's just a lot of learning. I guess I'll ask after, but if somebody had experience with it already, either with a team or without a team, or say like Ryan that has an Amazon business goes, hey, I'm done with my Amazon business, but I do want to move on. Does that have a higher qualification, or are you really looking for like previously run fund managers?
It doesn't do a ton for us for qualifying them if they've run funds before. We do have a portfolio manager that at least one that comes to mind that has done his own funds before. But really our offering and our model is what we term a fund in a box. So we let you run the business and we do everything else. We set up the LLCs, the SPVs, we do the taxes, the K1s, we do the distributions, and just allow you to focus on running the team because exactly what you just said. A lot of these guys have done funds before and they know how much goes into it and they don't want to do that. Nope. They just want to run the business.
I'm just learning about it. I go, oh, this is like I could do the job I feel, but all of this other pieces I'd have to have a team. But I have another question now I appreciate that. But going back into maybe more Ryan's community, if you're looking for your first deal in, do you recommend going through more like pooling money or going to buy a whole business?
Yeah, that's really personal preference. Most people...
is there a money amount too that is consideration? Because I know some businesses, if you're dealing with a minimum, are going to require a lot more down payment. Yeah.
So if you're looking to buy a business, I mean, definitely if you have no experience, recommend starting small. There's Empire Flippers doesn't do too many like small businesses anymore, but there's other marketplaces. There's ways to do it for sure. From an investment perspective, each round we have two different models. So far, we've been open to accredited investors only. Our first round was a $10,000 minimum. Right now, we have 4 funds available, and you can do $60,000 across those 4 funds. So you get $15,000 in each, and then each of those funds will probably buy 2 or 3 businesses, right? So you get a lot of exposure.
And the timelines on those are normally 2 to 5 years.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, and they take about 6 to 9 months to start cash flowing because they have to acquire the businesses, the net payment terms. And the migration and all that stuff. But we are actually in the process in the next week or 2, I guess, depending on when this is published, opening up to non-accredited. Yeah. So we're going to do a crowdfunding option. And that's something that we've, again, we're not always that smart. We just hear it over and over and over. Hey guys, I want to.
Well, that's brilliant though. But you're listening to your audience. That's exactly what I've done. My whole business is like, if enough people say it, let's create something to meet that need. So that's so awesome.
And you're 100% right. And I've always done that in my personal life as well. Just listen to what the market's telling you, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to be opening that up really soon. It's going to be a little bit of less terms than the accredited investors as far as the reporting you get and all of that. But we're really excited about that.
That's cool.
And I guess what's that
level going to look like? What's the minimum for the crowdfunded option?
I think it's $1,000 minimum.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, $1,000 minimum. We'll get you exposure to a couple different funds. That's going to be through WeFunder. So definitely audience, be on the lookout for that. Another cool thing too, we don't teach people to run the online businesses, like I said earlier, but we do, along with the cash distributions, we do quarterly reports. So when you get those reports, you see the websites that you're invested in, you get commentary from the portfolio manager that says what they're doing to grow the businesses, what's going well, what's not going well. So a lot of people find that interesting just from a dinner conversation perspective. Right?
Hey, I've invested in all these different types of businesses.
Exactly.
That's so cool. Give me an idea of, I know you guys sent over a cool document, talks about performance. So you feel free to chat about that and give me an idea of like what somebody might be looking at as far as the the return they might get if they're in the one that's accredited versus the crowdfunded option.
Yeah. So we've done, like I said, 3 rounds of investments. We have a few different funds in each. I think 3 to 4 funds in each. Round 1, which started 2 years ago, is now cash flowing. Our projected returns by our financial model is 20%. Over the life per year, over the life of the funds. Of course, that's just projections. Some are projected to go up, some will go down, some will just kind of.
Is that paid out annually to the investors, or
paid out quarterly? Paid out quarterly, and then of course, when the businesses are sold, hopefully there's a larger windfall there.
Yeah, and is that always like Stephen? You were asking about the 2 to 5 years. Is that what you were talking about? Like, the goal is to sell it in 2 to 5 years.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
And so projected is 20%. Our round one investors so far have received 15% over the last year. And that doesn't include the sale of the businesses. So we're right on track for that 20%. Yeah. And that's, we're really excited about that, considering, what the market's done the last.
Okay, give me an idea. Like, I know I'm not holding you to this, but just give me a totally hypothetical example. Let's say somebody invests $60,000, and we go with 15%, and then it sells. I mean, you can pull out something out of your hat as far as like what that might sell for, and I know this may be hard because I don't know how many. I guess it depends on how many investors are in that fund, right? Like, how does it get? I mean, I guess I just want to get a ballpark, or even just a guesstimate, or even just a totally hypothetical guess. Is that if somebody puts in $60,000 and it sells in 5 years, and they've been getting 15% a year for those 5 years? Any guess of how much that person might get as a lump sum?
I did say I went to engineering school, but it's been a while, so math is gonna be.
You have your financial calculator ready.
Like, is the lump sum more than what they might make over 5 years of 15%?
Well, let's say this. So let's say it was only one business in a fund, and the business they bought was $1 million. I don't think any of our funds just have one business, but for simplicity's sake, it was $1 million business when they bought it, right? Uh-huh. And then the profits have been getting distributed each quarter based on the profit per quarter. And there might be seasonality. There almost always is, right? If it's an Amazon site, it might do better around Christmas time and then go down in the summer or whatever.
Absolutely.
But let's say that $1 million business sold for 1.5. So it went up 50%.
Okay.
That $500,000, 2/3 of that, which is what? 3,500, something like that.
500,000. I'll just times 0.67, $335,000.
$335,000. That is distributed to the investors.
Perfect.
So
any
whatever
idea
your
how
percentage
many investors are in each group?
Typically it's around 80 or so.
Okay.
We have our largest investors are up to around $1 million, and our smallest are just right there at the minimums. Whatever.
Yeah, so that would be 335,000. Everybody would get another $4,187.
Yep, and it's all streamlined through our platform. So we have our own in-house wallet. You can leave the funds in there. You can reinvest them in a different fund. You can just remove them to your bank account. Interesting.
I have maybe a left field question. Sure. Can you invest using a self-directed IRA into one of these funds?
Actually, yeah. As soon as we wrap this up, I'm helping an investor today invest through. We partner with Alto is one that we do, and they're super helpful for anybody that's looking to do that. There's others as well. Not every IRA allows you to
you're talking about a custodian. Alto is a custodian. Okay.
Exactly. Not every custodian allows you to invest in alternative assets, but more and more are starting to, and there's several that we work with. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we do a lot. Well, I shouldn't say we do a lot. We use our self-directed IRA to do a lot of real estate, but they are constantly having lunch and learns with a lot of different uncommon investing opportunities. This seems like something they would do at Vanna. And maybe I'll connect you with them too, because they always do pitches for other people.
That would be excellent. Yeah, that would be excellent. And
I see a lot of people sitting on that kind of money in their IRAs, not doing anything with it. And this seems like a great opportunity.
Exactly. Yeah, we've had a lot come through IRAs, way more than we expected, in a few different companies. And a lot of the custodians, like you said, are leaning into that. It's really, at its core, the model is proven to work in real estate and art. Competitors like Masterworks and Fundrise and Yield Street and all those others. We're on a very basic level that we're doing the exact same thing for online businesses.
I think as more people become investors, you kind of want to stick in the lane that you are. I think small business owners, now that online is becoming more popular and there's more money in that space, I think things like this are going to be very alluring to them to be able to buy into a fund that does online business things with their IRA money. Because some of the conversation I had even yesterday, I think people were looking for other real estate, because real estate's starting to kind of level and dip. And I was like, I don't know the business space enough, but this seems like a great opportunity to be able to tap into that.
100%.
Especially with those consistent returns, and then sale of, especially if you're in that business space, like you understand that, and then you'd be able to read the notes. I don't know if they'd want to talk to the portfolio manager. That might not be the best thing to do, but there'd be a lot of money there.
Yeah, they do get to hear from them though. Like I said, each year they'll do the PMs will do a video where they explain the sites. They'll do a Loom video and show what they've done to grow them and what they're planning to do. And people really like that, right? And just like you said, there's tons of I'm a real estate investor. There's tons of things out there where you can invest in real estate, but there's not a lot of ways to invest in online businesses. Especially passively, and so that's exactly what we're trying to
feel confident with it versus just like dumping money into the stock market where you kind of have no real understanding or exists where you're talking to an actual fund manager.
Exactly. And it's all about diversification, right? So you want to diversify, even among us, you want to diversify across Amazon and content. And we have a Kindle operator who's doing a great job. And that's part of the Webstreet going out to other marketplaces, right? We want to be able to invest in apps and SaaS and all types of digital products.
That's
interesting.
Awesome. We didn't. I think that hypothetical example might have been for somebody who's accredited. What about if somebody invests $1,000 in your new crowdfunded option? Any guess of what their return might be?
So when I say their terms are limited or different, we're still planning to do the 2/3 split. So the returns would be no different. It's just that access is going to be a bit different. We haven't, I don't know that we finalized if we're going to do quarterly reports so right now in a fund, when I say we have 80 investors, the investor relations is, it's still a lot of work, but it's manageable. If we've got thousands of investors in a fund, they may not have as much access to us from a customer support standpoint, from a reporting standpoint, and things like that. So that will all be very clear before you invest, but the returns are planned to be at the same profit split.
Yeah. Okay, selfish question here. I have a friend who's actually developing something. They're developing an app. Essentially, they're doing some investing in the DeFi space, and they're taking investors. They're creating a fund. They're wondering how they're going to pay people back. The easy way, because that can be very manual, like going to PayPal or whatever they choose. Do you guys have an easy way, like an automated way to pay investors? Like, especially at the $1,000 level, if you get $500,000 investors and you're trying to pay them quarterly, you certainly don't want some employee sitting around trying to pay everybody manually.
Yeah, 100%. This will sound a little bit selfish on the answer. I don't know of an easy way. We have an in-house engineering team. We built our own platform. Okay. And that's really it falls directly under, my role with the company. Sure. It was extremely difficult to build. Okay. Yeah. And we're really proud of it. We call it our Webstreet wallet. Nice. Each quarter, you'll get an email that says your funds have hit your wallet, and they're there. You log into your account, the money's there. But to answer your question, we built that in house.
Cool. Is there a way for somebody to be able to white label that or tap into that and pay you?
Come on!
Yeah, I was kind of afraid our engineers might be thinking that when they built it. Yeah. But no, that's exactly how we do it.
Could be another revenue stream for you guys. If I don't know, I don't know software at all. But because I imagine there's a lot of fund managers that would love access to a tool like that. Is that a way to potentially monetize it and say, hey, you can use what we've built?
Yeah, we haven't really gone down that route. We were really focused on getting it launched on our platform, but it does work really well. You can wire the money, you can ACH the money. Working on being able to invest through crypto and withdraw through those options. So
there could be a huge opportunity with note buyers, because that's a constant problem they're dealing with, is how to pay all those people out. And stewards of that charge a lot of money.
Yeah, 100%. At this time, we don't actually charge anything at all to use it either, as far as fees, wire fees, anything like that. I can't say that we will always be the case, but certainly not in the plans to charge for it.
Yeah, so we're not here. I guess we're sorry. We're not here to brainstorm this. We could chat with you privately, but I just thought of that real quick. So when is that fund, the crowdfunded option, going to be able to launch?
So we're talking right now at the very beginning of March. I believe we're launching the crowdfunding in the next week or two.
Awesome.
Part of our team's at a conference right now, an SEO conference out in Vietnam, and they're kind of running that part of it. So I don't know what the update is this week, but I know it's very close to launching. I know the page is up, and we're really close on that.
That is so cool. Where do you want people to go? Just go to webstreet.com?
Yeah, webstreet.co.
.co, that's right.
Yep. And you can log in, create an account, takes 30 seconds, if that. Then you'll be on our mailing list. You'll know we can put links in the show notes as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Through the site, through our page as accredited investors only, but you can make a make it account. You can read, we just did a recent blog post on our 2-year performance review where we went through the good, the bad, what we've accomplished in the last 2 years, what investors are getting. So you can check that out.
I love it. I love these passive types of options where somebody can say, look, I don't want to, I mean, maybe I am running a business, but I want some passive income on the side. Just put some money over there. And I mean, it's way better than anything else that most other types of ways to get passive income.
It seems
100%.
very low access, especially $1,000.
Yeah. Yeah. And like you said, I mean, I'm smiling because you guys are speaking my language. I mean, that's part of the reason I came on board, was looking to passively invest on a personal level and get exposure to something other than the stock market. And that's, that's
and it seems like it's fairly low risk. Like, I mean, every single one of those businesses in the portfolio would have to like completely tank, right? For it to.
Correct. And we do push diversification big time. I mean, if you just come in and pick one fund, you do have the ability to do that, but we don't recommend it.
Sure.
A bit of throwing a dart at a dartboard. We don't know which one, that we'll often get that from people, right? Like, which one do you recommend? What's your favorite?
Yeah.
Like, well, this guy's got a great track record, but
who'd I go out to lunch with last?
yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, you're exactly right. If you diversify across multiple funds, it's relatively low risk.
Yeah, and since this is new, like the managers don't have a huge track record, but if they are consistently rolling over, that would only help with that, to be able to go like, this guy's been with us for so long, this is his track record. I think that would be a great thing.
And that was always part of the plan, and we're excited to see it coming true because right now we have 4 funds available at this moment, and one of them is a repeat guy, and each time we've had a repeat operator, that fund is filled up the fastest. For obvious
I can only
reasons.
imagine. Yeah.
And the whole plan is to have a public track record, right? And, kind of a scoreboard. And
that's so cool. So obviously individuals can get involved in this, but you said you're talking to a IRA guy later. Like, if I was a financial advisor and I had a whole bunch of accounts, wouldn't this be something I'd also be interested in, getting my clients' money into something like this? That's seems
100%. Yeah, we've had several discussions with different family offices, with different financial advisors. We have a few that have come in on a personal level, so they can see what it's all about, learn about it, and then take it to their customers. So I know for sure we've had a few do that on a personal level. I don't know if we have any, pushing it to their entire.
Because I've always wondered, like, I know what. Having an Amazon business, I know what the returns are like for an individual Amazon business. I'm like, and I have a friend who does investing. I thought, man, it seems like there should be a way to marry those two together, because like the amount of return an Amazon seller gets is insane compared to
15-20%
stocks or real estate even. I mean, no, there are some risks involved in the Amazon business. Things can happen, but most people, even if you lose your account, you can get it back 85% of the time, at least, we've seen, or more. And so I don't know. Like there's so much money out there that people would, if people knew they could invest in a business, an Amazon business, without having to know anything about it, that's just incredible. Yeah.
And like I said, you'll see even, Stephen, like you said, even the ones that aren't repeat portfolio managers with us yet, we put their previous track record out there on the fund page. So you'll see all the details. Here's their growth strategy. Here's their team. Here's what they've built and sold before. So you can see, we consider them the best portfolio managers in the world. Out of the 14 that we've had so far, I think we've had 600 or so applicants. So it's a pretty rigorous process. Again, doesn't mean that they're guaranteed to do well, but they certainly have the track record.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, okay. So speaking to an audience, these are a lot of e-commerce sellers, a lot of people wanting passive income. What are just parting advice for them for passive income, other than obviously, get involved in Webstreet, check it out. But any other advice or anything you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, other than diversify, if you're interested in this type of thing, I can nerd out on it. I think you'll really enjoy checking out our website, reading. You can see the past portfolio managers. You can see, we don't reveal the sites that they purchase other than to investors for obvious competition reasons, but you can get an idea. So, from an investment standpoint, obviously, there's upside, but also just from an interest standpoint for people that are, listening to the podcast, they're probably a bit passionate or interested in learning about investing in online businesses. I think we have a lot of resources out there that would just be interesting to people, whether you invest or not.
Absolutely. Cool. Steve,
I have maybe
Yeah,
an odd question. Do you guys work with any private equity firms where you can build it, roll it up, and then sell it to them to have a client on the other side when you're ready to sell?
We haven't done that yet. It is something that we've talked about. It's another one of those where if we get enough demand or enough, if the market kind of pushes to that
if you start looking into private equity, they're looking for very served up portfolios, and it seems like you guys are in a perfect position to be able to do that.
Yeah, and that is part of where we get a lot of questions around that. You've seen over the past couple of years the aggregators, right? Thrasio and some of these others raising enormous, big valuations, going out and buying tons of Amazon portfolios and rolling them up. Our model is different, but it's very similar. So I can definitely see where that question's coming from, and we get that a lot.
Well, I'm just saying you could serve them up. Like, say you have 6 different funds, and you go, they're all going to kind of end at the same time. We work with this private equity that's looking for 100 million. This could be a part of their roll up. But it just seems like,
be really good for investors too, most likely, right?
Just even put that into third grade language, that question you just asked him.
So there's bigger pools of money that are looking for opportunities for them to come and buy portfolios.
Right.
What their fund is doing is taking these smaller businesses and putting them together into one fund with smaller investors. But then I think when they're ready to sell in 2 to 5 years, they could put a couple of those funds together and sell it to one of those much bigger
if you had 10 businesses in fund 1, 10 businesses in fund 2, you roll them up and now it's a 20 business bundle and sell it to a private equity firm?
Because the private equity firm is looking for it's normally like $500 million, but they're looking for large portfolios that they can just come in and evaluate. But I don't know if there's companies out there that specifically serve up in the business space. I can only imagine because they do it in the real estate space. And I've seen some companies like that are just like playing the middle, where they get a bunch of investors together, they understand all the rules and regulations, then they start funds at the same time so they can run the funds up and then have a person to sell all of them to. I don't know how you guys are selling those businesses. I don't know if you sell them in portfolios or you sell them off one at a time, but those companies are able to sell the portfolio, so they don't have to sell like the apartment buildings one at a time and the houses one at a time. They just sell them all in one portfolio, and it catches out, makes it very easy. So they've just gotten their process down to like an assembly line, essentially. We need this many people to raise this much capital. We buy these many buildings. We hold them for 2 years, then we sell them to this private equity firm.
Yeah, I think that makes a ton of sense. Yeah, a ton of sense. And it definitely could be a fit for us. Right now, we're selling them individually, but I mean, we're certainly open to whatever's best for investors. And kind of the numbers you were hitting on, I mean, that's the whole reason for Webstreet opening up to other markets. We know the deal flow in the e-commerce industry based on based on what we know about the numbers we've raised, like I said, over 20 million over the last 2 years. Our plan is to be doing 100 million in deployment per year. We think the market's that big. And so,
that's so awesome. Wow. Cool. Well, so people can find you webstreet.co. Any other sites you want me to put in the show notes?
Webstreet.co is the best place. Like I said, just make a quick account. I'll send over some links. We have a very easy interest form. You just name and email. We have a round robin link where you can talk to our investor relations team and get all your questions answered, because I know I've left a lot out there. We've got some webinars that we've done.
We apologize for taking you all over the place.
It's all good. It's all good. Now, tons of resources. I'll share them with you, but yeah, webstreet.co is the best place to start.
Awesome. Thanks, Kyle. Appreciate you being on.
Awesome. Cheers, guys.
You've been listening to Streams of Income with self-help author Ryan Rieger. From right here in the Dallas Metroplex, Ryan teaches several entrepreneurial courses and group coaching programs to students all over the world. Be sure to listen next week at the same time for Streams of Income with Ryan Rieger.